If you're recent to Capcut, you absolutely need to start implementing the 10 tips I'm sharing today, and I'll be showing you the proof of how game-changing they are. Editing, as you all know, takes an insane amount of time, and not only for beginners. You see, what takes time in Capcut, and also other softwares, is often not very complex, but rather a series of repetitive and annoying tasks. You know, click, right-click, click again, and so on. With today's tips, you'll increase your editing speed by double at least. And mark my word for it. Let's go. So when I started, I did notice this shortcut customization feature, but I didn't give it too much attention until I realized recently its real power. Open it, and you'll see these shortcuts that you can customize. So the idea here is to customize the key bindings for the actions you use the most, and group them in a special zone of the keyboard that you're comfortable with, just like hardcore gamers do. I suggest you focus on these shortcuts. Select mode, split mode, select leftward and rightward, show speed panel, and create compound clip. And now, I'm gonna show you how game-changing it is in some real-life situations in Capcut. And let's take out the stopwatch. Something that would happen to me a lot is that I would want to add something in the middle of my timeline. Now, the classical way that most beginners do is mouse selection, and it can be very unpleasant, especially if you have many layers of assets and things that should not be moved. So let's try it with mouse selection. I try to get the best selection. I unselect what should not be selected by holding Control. Make sure that I have the right object selected, and here. 16 seconds to do this operation in the classical way. And yes, you do probably know that you have the select rightward feature, but trust me, doing it with the keyboard is way faster. I use my shortcut E for rightward selection and quickly press A for select mode. I can instantly start unselecting the unwanted objects by holding the Control key. And there, 7 seconds to do the same operation. Now, let's say I have this overlay clip, but I want to speed it up to meet the end of this clip over here. The classical way would be to open up the speed panel and play with the speed or duration until it meets what we want. And that just took 6 seconds. Now, you did probably know that once you click on the speed panel, this white icon appears, and you can change the speed with it. And it does take 2 seconds less to do. But as I said in the intro, mouse clicks is what takes the most time in Capcut. So by using the S shortcut, you can do it faster than you can say it. 1 second. Let's now look at another practical situation. Splitting clips. It's something that you'll find yourself doing a lot in Capcut. Let's say I need to split this audio clip. The classical way would be to drag the playhead at each position and click on split. 17 seconds to split this short audio clip. Now look at these two other methods. First, use the split shortcut. Control B by default. Not bad. 10 seconds. The other method is by pressing B for split mode and just click on the positions you want to split. 6 seconds. Another example, creating compound clips. Let's say I want to make these 4 groups into compound clips. Classical method. Select them, right-click, and create a compound clip. 12 seconds for this example. If you do it using the keyboard shortcut, only 4 seconds are needed. Now you might be thinking that these are just seconds, but if you look back at the time it takes you to edit your videos, you'll realize that a big part of it is composed of some repetitive stuff like these examples. And put together, it can sum up to hours that you can gain just by using keyboard shortcuts. And while you're at it, make sure you have a mouse with buttons on the side. You know, navigating left and right on the timeline in the classical way can be very unpleasant. It's still manageable in short videos, but with longer ones, it can be really painful, even with the scrolling bar. But with side buttons, you can navigate left and right very easily. You can get your hands on one with really accessible prices, so make sure you do that. Next tip, using the replace feature to gain time. For this one, let's say we have these 3 clips, and we want to add lower thirds. These information banners. Let's put it on the timeline and fancy it with an effect. Let's take this halo light effect. Let's add this warning icon. Scale it, place it, and also fancy it with an effect. Let's put this color glitch effect. We animate it and adjust the length of the animation by testing, okay? Let's add the information text, choose the font, the color, and place it. Let's also add this animation for the text. So now we have our info box. Let's say I want 2 other info boxes with the same style but different elements. As you can imagine, doing it the classical way, which is from scratch, is very painful. You have to add all the animations and their duration, all the effects, all the scaling of the text. Very repetitive. It took me 1 minute and 45 seconds to make this first box, and the other 2 boxes took me 3 other minutes to complete. Let's look now at the replacing technique. You duplicate the initial one by pressing Alt, and you simply replace the elements one by one by dragging them. This feature will keep the same position, size, effects, animations, and everything associated with the original one. You just need to change the text. And this operation takes 1 minute instead of the 3 minutes for the scratch method. And we actually transition to what is actually one of my favorite: tailor your work. The notion of Taylorism came from this man, Frederick Taylor, who revolutionized the way the industries managed their efficiency. This concept has since spread to the world of manufacturing, like steel and vehicle industry, and also to fast food restaurants and lots of other fields. It's based on the idea that if you focus on only one task, you'll execute it better and faster. In reference to our previous example, if there is a task that should be repeated along the timeline, you should do it right there and then, while you have the muscle memory, meaning that if you just did something, you'll do it faster if you repeat it right then. So if that info box should come with a sound effect, you should also do it right there and then. Place the first one where it should, then go copy-paste them where they should be. This way, it's done, while you're focused on the info box. Now, it may seem to you to be a small detail, but believe me, when you have a timeline with many layers of sound effects, which often are multiplied like mouse clicks, keyboard typing, or swooshes, having a tailored work is a must if you want to control your editing time. So let's talk about these many audio layers. May seem sometimes more than necessary, and the reason is purely productivity. So when you import your audio, you first need to select the voice enhancing feature if your audio has voice, but you also should select normalize loudness. This way all your audio segments have the same loudness, and you don't surprise your viewers with crazy volume changes. And bear in mind that the more you split the audio clips, the better the loudness normalization will be. You'll actually see these bars changing as you split. Okay, cool. But what's that got to do with it? So once your audio is normalized, you'll often want to control the volume of each type of audio. So you'll want your voice at a certain level, your music at a certain level, and your sound effects at a certain level. And even some sound effects should be louder than others. So you want to organize all these audio tracks to be able to select them simply and adjust the global loudness for them. If you don't create all these layers, you'll have a very hard time selecting the ones you want to tune up or tune down. Plus, it gives you a greater visibility when editing and copy-pasting your different sound effects. Okay, a quick tip about keyframes. You don't always need to activate them manually. Let's say I have this board with all these assets, and I want to zoom in each section. Now you could create a compound clip and keyframe only that clip. But if you want to keep a good resolution while zooming, I suggest you keyframe each element. So of course we set our initial keyframes, but instead of doing it for each position, which can be very time consuming, simply drag the playhead, select all your elements, and rescale and reposition. Once you have the first keyframes activated, any movement will automatically create a keyframe, and that can save you some valuable time. Moving on, using the proxy feature. You know how sometimes you stack a couple of high-resolution files and Capcut starts to lag? And frankly, sometimes it can kill your productivity. Well, the proxy solves that problem. What it does is it saves a smaller copy of your files that it works with. This way, Capcut runs way smoother. To activate it, go to Settings, then Performance, and turn on the proxy. And while you're at it, deactivate the GPU rendering to make Capcut run even smoother. Next up, using and importing folders. So when you're halfway in your video, your media window will not look very good, and it can be hard to browse and find a sound effect or a media. So always import folders when you can. In this example, I import my entire music folder, and I can browse it in the same way as my original files. What you should also do is always keep your media section clean. For example, by creating folders to store your used media. Another productivity feature, trim from the source. You know when sometimes you import a 5-minute clip, but only need 10 seconds out of it. And it's so long compared to your timeline that not only you'll have to scroll left and right to find the part you're interested in, but can also move objects on the far right of the timeline. So what you can do is simply use these handles to trim the clip from the source before you place it on the timeline. This way, it doesn't mess up the rest of your clips, and you won't waste time trimming it on the timeline. And my last tip, know Capcut's capacities before you engage in editing a section. See, I used to spend a lot of time searching for motion graphics for backgrounds, and there are some cool ones online. But did you know that you can create your own in less than 10 seconds with a simple black background? Let me show you. Take a black background and stack a couple of effects. Let's, for example, start with a light effect, sunset. Then we add some mist from the nature section, then a sun effect, vignette, Chrome Blur, and Neon from the cartoon section. And really, I picked them randomly. There are tons of effects that have a great result on simple backgrounds. And that should probably be the topic of the upcoming videos, because effects are overpowered once you know them. If you didn't know at least one of these 10 tips, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments section. Cheers.